Okay, we'll see if they are on their game tonight. That big banner, the boys in blue, never give in. City 1894. The Manchester City fans right up for this, and a huge travelling contingent of Arsenal fans really enjoying their season and coming here to prove a point to Manchester City. The atmosphere fantastic as it goes dark inside the stadium. The FA Cup fourth round starts here, and why would you want to be anywhere else in the world for that matter? As I said, the two best teams in the country right now going head to head. It's Manchester City versus Arsenal, live and exclusive on Talksport, with former England World Cup defender Stuart Pearce and our very own Jim Proudfoot.
Thank you, Hugh. So here it is, Manchester City against Arsenal, part one. The aperitif for two of the most significant matches that the two will ever have played against the other. And what a mouth-watering prospect this taster is. A tie that will see one of the country's top two eliminated in an FA Cup campaign that's already seen nearly half of the sides in the Premier League vanquished. It is nearly 18 months since Arsenal were last here, and there's no match that better illustrates their extraordinary progress than this one. That last visit to the Etihad merely underlined the depth of work that was needed. A 5-0 defeat that comprised a third successive goalless loss at the start of the last league campaign. How easy it was to draw conclusions, a hasty assessment of a snapshot in time. But how easy it was for Arsenal fans to fear that the images resembled the bigger picture, a gradual extension of a long-established downward curve. Manchester City away felt like a necessary impediment to be navigated rather than the type of day that defined their season, but now nothing could be further from the truth. These will be the games that are the be-all and end-all, where one could well supply the knockout punch to eliminate the other from the title race, and tonight the chance to inflict that decisive blow in the cup and potentially aid their traction with a psychological uppercut in the process. City have Ortega in goal, Lewis, Stones, Akanji and Ake, Rodri and Gundogan, Mahrez, De Bruyne, Grealish and Haaland. For Arsenal it's Turner, Tomiyasu Holding, Gabriel and Tierney, Fabio Vieira, Partey and Xhaka, Saka and Khedira and Trossard. Referee this evening, Paul Tierney, the man who took charge of Arsenal's sole league defeat of the campaign, just across town from here at Old Trafford. It is the greatest domestic cup competition in the world. The third round had the lot, and the fourth round starts with a supreme heavyweight clash. 32 teams remain. Those ranked 1 and 2 go head to head. The FA Cup weekend, live with passion on Talksport, starting with an absolute cracker. Delighted to say alongside me for it is Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. As I say, one of the top two's got to go out the cup competition. I think there'll be a few teams across the country having a look at this game tonight and thinking, well, I'm glad we've not taken one of them on just yet. We'll leave them till later in the round.
Thomas Partey fouled, taking a free kick for Arsenal, who are in their traditional colours. So too Manchester City in the light blue shirts. Kick from left to right, and have a goal kick which Ortega will take. Man who started the last 4 domestic cup ties for City, the last 2 Champions League ties as well. And he clears it, right-footed, high through the middle where Haaland is trying to roll Rob Holding. And the referee has said there was a foul, but has given it Arsenal's way, and immediately Manchester City players surround referee Tierney. It was just one long punt through the middle. Haaland trying to turn past the former Bolton man, and the two of them colliding. There was a bit of shirt pulling going on, a bit of shoving, and the referee has decided that's a free kick to Arsenal. Stuart, you've seen a replay.
Absolutely ludicrous decision by the referee. You know, what has Haaland got to gain being the quicker player to grapple the Arsenal defender? Terrible decision. I don't know whether at this early in the game, Jim, he's not made the decision because he thinks he might have to mete out a very harsh punishment potentially.
Well, there were a couple of covering defenders. Whether either of them would have been able to get there in time remains a moot point. But had he given it the other way, he might have had to have produced a red card inside the opening 90 seconds. As it is, it's still 11 against 11. It's still 0-0. And Tierney will take a throw for Arsenal. Last 2 games between these two have seen the Gunners reduced to 10 men. Gabriel sent off in the most recent of those, which was a 2-1 victory for City in North London. Rodri scoring a stoppage time winner in a fixture on New Year's Day last year. And Granit Xhaka sent off in the first half here on Arsenal's last trip to these parts, and that 5-0 defeat. They've got it with Partey playing it back for Rob Holding, whose heart might still be beating just a little bit more quickly than he'd like. He finds Tomiyasu. Back he goes for Turner. Turner, who we've seen on a few occasions in his brief Arsenal career and for the United States in the World Cup, not too happy with the ball at his feet. Made a hash of getting it away. City then in the next phase of play pull it back, and Rodri fires it over the bar. 3 gone, 0-0 on Talksport. You won't hear it on any other national radio station tonight.
Well, we were talking about the importance of goalkeepers there. Turner will be expected to play out from the back, and on that occasion got it horribly wrong and induced the first effort at goal. And I was just looking at a player that he's picked tonight in the Arsenal ranks that played in the World Cup, so he didn't have a break in Saka, and I think he's Arsenal's most important player. I really do. Out of all the players they could lose to injury that might hurt them the most this season, Saka, I think, is the one.
Saka was the target of a flick on there from Eddie Nketiah. Manchester City got it back for Ortega. He clears, again looking quite long, and City winning it in the midfield with Gundogan, finding Jack Grealish. Grealish playing it back for Ake. Manchester City adopting this very lopsided formation when they're in possession, as they've done the last couple of games. It's one of the reasons that Pep so loves Rico Lewis, who's in possession now, the 18-year-old, but ostensibly a right back when they're out of possession. But he will just push forward into midfield all the time, and when City have the ball, they stretch it wide, and Stones drifts out to the right of the 3. Again, Ortega looking long, straight down the middle for Haaland. There's a good battle between Haaland and Holding, and Manchester City supporters will think they might get the better of that. Trossard, on his full debut for Arsenal, bringing it forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Trossard has already scored here this season in his Brighton days, twisting and turning, getting it in, left-footed just behind Saka. Tomiyasu coming onto it. It's a really good stop. First save of the game from Ortega. Tierney hooking a high ball inside the penalty area that Stones heads clear. De Bruyne can help it further away. Partey trying to help it on. City have got everybody back behind the ball. Gabriel for Trossard, wearing 19 for his new club. Tierney taking it on. Xhaka will be able to pick it up. Trossard's got it again. Trossard to the corner of the penalty area, right-footed in, swinging delivery. Ake backpedaling, is able to steer it away and then run onto his own header to be able to clear. Arsenal again picking up the pieces in the midfield, and have done so with Partey. Partey back for Xhaka. And then Xhaka works it back the other way towards Thomas Partey again, and Arsenal will be able to mop up at the back. But it was a decent move from Arsenal getting it forward, and Trossard already causing a couple of early problems, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's prepared to run. It was at Stones who filled in at right back on that occasion, prepared to run at him and twist and turn him. And Arsenal have started this game very, very soundly. Pressed on, gone blanket press, man for man. Happy to leave 3-on-3 on the halfway line. And it'll be important that City get that ball forward and try and isolate Haaland with Holding.
Stones back for Ortega. Ortega playing it through the midfield, looking for Riyad Mahrez, and Gabriel had followed him, stepping up and knocks it away. And Pep Guardiola comes out of the technical area and applauds very vigorously in the direction of John Stones. There'll be a goal kick which will be taken by Ortega. I think what he liked about Stones, and he's given him a few instructions now, was that he was just happy to sit possession, try and draw the press, lay it back for the goalkeeper, and that'll play into City's tactic of trying to work it forward long really quickly to isolate the forward 3 against Arsenal's back 3. City have a free kick over on the far touchline. We're 6.5 minutes in here in the Etihad, where the smoke from the pre-match pyros has finally dissipated. And Stones can play it forward for the blonde-haired De Bruyne. Forward from him to Riyad Mahrez, who's in such a sparkling run of form in the FA Cup. 6 goals in his last 5 ties in this competition. The ball goes out of play. Mahrez winning the throw, and it's taken quickly by Lewis, but not effectively. Stones actually did really well to rescue it, although in knocking it back down towards Lewis, it had just gone over the line. And out of play for an Arsenal throw. Engaging spectacle. We didn't expect anything else, Stu.
No, definitely we didn't. 2 teams coming into this game with supreme confidence. Well, City You expect that from them. Arsenal playing probably as good a football as you've seen maybe for a decade potentially. Playing really well, and it's interesting to see the Arsenal press, as I say, not afraid to go man for man, squeeze right on. And it's the distances the goalkeeper's got, Ortega's got to put that ball. I don't think he's got the distance Ederson's got to put it in behind their back line. If Ederson's was playing, it's a whole different ball game, I think.
Ortega with a more measured chip forward this time, and Mahrez has done well to come to meet and flick it on for Haaland. Haaland nodding it back. Rodri couldn't get there first. Xhaka could. Xhaka played it for, but missed Eddie and Nketiah, and then stopped a little bit like a cartoon character who's just stepped over the edge of a cliff and tried to put the brakes on, and he looked and didn't admire what he'd done, and City had it back. Ortega plays it forward, headed away by Gabriel, and out of play for a throw that will be taken on the Manchester City right hand side. City have won the last 5 meetings of these two teams, with the Gunners' most recent success coming in that FA Cup semi-final we were talking about in the build-up back in the 1920 season, with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang scoring a couple of goals that day. Arsenal were excellent. It was an off day for City. That's a mistake from Holding. Haaland almost in. He might yet be. It's an overhead kick, a bit of improvisation. Tomiyasu will chest it down, stop it going in. Turner had come out and had done well to intercept the original through ball after the mistake from Holding. Haaland, having got to that, it ricocheted off the keeper, tried an overhead kick, and he got the direction but not the power on it, and Tomiyasu could just drop back in and mop up. But Haaland against Holding's a massive problem for Arsenal. Well,
that is the matchup, to be fair, because if Arsenal were going to squeeze on, any balls that are played long, Gabriel one side, Tomiyasu, they've got height advantage, strength advantage on the wide players. Up the middle of the pitch, different matter altogether, Haaland and Holding.
Lewis did well for City, winning it back away from Trossard and finding Ortega. Ortega able to play it forward through the midfield to Lewis again, and then out of the penalty area, but away from Gundogan, and Arsenal win it back. Partey, Xhaka, back out to Bukayo Saka on the right-hand touchline, and Ake has gone out there with him. It's pulled back to Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu's 10 yards outside the penalty area. He just forces Holding to retrace his steps very quickly, and Rob Holding, who's born not a million miles from here on Tameside, plays it down towards Gabriel. Gabriel to Tierney, given away, brought through the centre circle now by Rodri for Manchester City. 10 minutes gone. City with a couple of promising moments, and also with the one notable save of the game so far, with Ortega denying Tomiyasu. It has the feelings of a mini classic. It has the feeling this now of being a matchup between these two that is going to have some hugely significant, memorable moments that we're going to see over the next 3 months or so. Starting tonight, February the 15th, the two sides meet in London in the league, and then it's the last week of April that the return game here is scheduled for at the moment. How important those games will prove to be.
Jim, when you watch these two teams, superiorly confident, you know exactly what they're trying to achieve, the passing lines, who should pass it to where it should go, the movements. It's fantastic to watch, to be fair. And if the ball's given away, you can sit there and say, yeah, I see what he was trying to do there. You know, it's not often the case when you go and watch other games, I've got to say.
Those are the thoughts of Stuart Pearce, former Manchester City manager, and man who scored a goal in the FA Cup final. Stones sliding in, gets it away from Trossard, puts it out for a throw that will be taken by Tierney. This is the first of 9 live FA Cup ties that we've got for you over the course of this weekend, going into Monday on the Talksport network, and I'll give you the details of some of the others as the half goes on. Stones heads it away here for Rico Lewis. Lewis playing it forward, Rodri back to Akanji, hastily laying it behind him. And Ortega will clear again. Haaland was offside that time, couldn't make any attempt to go for the ball along with Holding. A free header for the Arsenal man, flipped by Gundogan and over the head of Saka. He can just then walk onto the ball as it bounces back down, and Ake will pick it up, and City will build from the back with 12 gone at 0-0.
Yeah, when you were saying there about Haaland offside position, made no attempt to go for the ball, Well, certainly Rashford's changed that ruling, hasn't he, in a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, not much. Gundogan, Grealish swinging it in, and well claimed by Turner. Mahrez was the closest to it. Turner really close to carrying that out of his penalty area as he got it away. The United States international, whose record so far in Arsenal colours is exemplary. Just the one goal conceded. This is his 6th game for the club tonight, and the run since he last conceded is just a few seconds short now of 7 hours. Here's Stones. Zurich, the only side that has scored against him so far. Stones to Mahrez. Mahrez laying it back to the edge of the penalty area again for Stones. And then near the penalty spot will be Ortega that can clear. Right-footed. Chested down by the retreating Haaland. Haaland playing on the turn, giving it away for Gundogan. And then it'll be brought down by Thomas Partey. But the Arsenal player is down as Partey brought it under control. And it's going to be a free kick to the Gunners, which they'll take inside the centre circle. 13 gone, Manchester City 0, Arsenal 0. Possession almost dead level, Stu. Marginally in Arsenal's favour, 51-49. They've both had the one shot on target so far. It's not a slow burner, though. It's got a feel of very, very entertaining game about it.
I think it's been a brilliant game. It's helped by the away side coming here and putting a high press. They're happy to go man for man, toe to toe with Manchester City, and that's put them right on the front foot. I think they out of the two teams, they've probably looked the most confident in these opening few minutes. In fact, I can't remember Jack Grealish touching the ball as yet, and we're about 14 minutes in, I think.
Xhaka chips the ball forward from that free kick. It bounces for Saka. Saka with an effort that hit a Manchester City player. It's a Kanji. Almost an isolated appeal for handball. Nothing given. And rightly so. Ball cleared out of play for a throw, which will be taken by Arsenal on their right-hand side. You're listening to Manchester City against Arsenal in the FA Cup. It's live and exclusive to national radio on Talksport with Carling. We're made by our mates. 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. Gabriel in position. Just outside the penalty area. He's got the ball at his feet now. Lays it through the centre of the engine room to Granit Xhaka. Back for Gabriel. Turning it back for Matt Turner. Turner controlling it, getting it onto his right foot, and then driving it forward, quite low and flat. Ake coming to meet it. Saka there first, and Saka plays it back for Fabio Vieira, who's another that hasn't really seen too much action with the ball at his feet so far. They try to play the return ball out to Saka, and played it behind him, and it goes out of play for a throw that will be taken by City midway inside their own half. 15 gone. It's 0-0. Here's Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, I would say the difference between the two sides at the moment, Arsenal's presser, I think I look at it and see it a little bit more aggressive than City's. City's are squeezing on to stop a ball being played through them more so than, look, we're coming after you, we're going to take it off you.
Haaland flagged offside again as the ball was played through the midfield, and then first bit of real animation from Mikel Arteta. Jumping up and down on the edge of the technical area in the ear of assistant referee Konstantin Hatzidakis. The decision was made, and it's a free kick that the Gunners will take. Pep's got an outstanding record against Arsenal. Has been well documented. He's faced them 16 times as Manchester City manager. He's won 13 of them, and only won more games as City boss against Burnley than he has against the Gunners. But he has lost 2. They both came in the FA Cup, and most recently in the semi-finals. And Arsenal have won the last 4 FA Cup ties that they played against City, and they've gone on to win the final subsequent to those on the last 3 occasions. The double winning year 1971, and then again in 2017, and most recently in lockdown 3 years ago. Ball cleared by Turner. Akanji just flicking it on through the midfield. Rodri, Lewis really looks at home in Manchester City's first team. He might have a squad number of 82 that belies his, or betrays, should I say, his lack of experience, but what an outstanding prospect this young man is. Just 18 years of age.
It's amazing, all the money you pay for these players and the lift it gives a football club when someone like Foden comes out of the academy, or this boy.
Yeah, Lewis just playing his 15th senior game tonight. Now, they've all come this season. 4 Premier League starts for him. Here's Haaland. And he's a typical Manchester City fullback in the way that he'll pick up the ball and then drive into midfield. But his starting position when they're in possession, often in midfield. And that's where he's got it now. Just to the right of Rodri. He's laid it back for Akanji. Only a couple of early chances, really. 17 gone. It's 0-0 here on Talksport. Jim Proudfoot and Stuart Pearce talking through the action at the Etihad. Hugh Wozencroft in the chair. Salam Adar, stadium producer tonight. As the ball is played by Ake, forward for Grealish, who's forced to retreat back inside his own half to try and influence proceedings, and he got caught there by Tomiyasu, who followed him every step of the way, and he stayed down, Grealish, holding his ankle for now. I think he's going to be okay without the need for any treatment. Manchester City 0, Arsenal 0. As I mentioned, it's the first of 9 games that we've got coming up for you. Tomorrow at 12:30, a choice of listening. It's Accrington against Leeds over on Talksport 2. Here on Talksport, Walsall against Leicester in the Black Country. 11 o'clock build-up ahead of a 12:30 kick-off. Game day live at 2:30. All the goals as they go in from the FA Cup 4th round and the EFL, of course, as well. 3 o'clock, Fulham-Sunderland live for you on Talksport 2. Join me at Deepdale for Preston against Spurs at 6 with Faye Carruthers in the chair tomorrow night. And then Manchester United against Reading is an 8 o'clock kickoff, also live here on Talksport. And that's just tomorrow. More of the same on Sunday and Monday as well. Arsenal drive it forward, but too much on it. Goes through for Ortega, and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, I think the difference between the two sides, I would like to see City just on occasion. The build-up's really good, no problems there. But every now and then, they've looked up and the ball's been on to put behind the back line, either a slide ball down the sides of the centre halves, or just a little ball to turn the opposition's defence, just to mix it up a little bit, and they've not done that. They've played everything in front of them.
Gundogan, Haaland, couldn't play that in front of him. He had Gundogan making a third man run behind him, and he just tried to flick it with the top of his right boot past him. It ended up being mopped up by Arsenal, got back to Turner, cleared by him, but not effectively. Rodri finds De Bruyne, now out towards Mahrez and his yellowy orange boots. Back from him to Akanji on the edge of the centre circle for Stones. And Arsenal have got everybody back behind the ball here as City make slow progress. Slow but steady. Out the ball goes to Mahrez, headed away from him by Tierney. And out for a throw that will be taken on the Manchester City right. Tierney, one of 4 former winners of this competition in the Arsenal starting lineup. He's got a couple of Scottish Cups to his name as well from his Celtic days. Mahrez with the ball in the palm of a black-gloved right hand. Takes the throw, finds Haaland, gets the return ball. Mahrez taking it down towards the byline, trying to commit Tierney, who didn't bite. Mahrez played it back instead for Lewis. Lewis to Akanji. 15 yards inside the Arsenal half. Gundogan, clever, but not quite directed accurately enough for the run of Haaland. He just tried to play a ball on the half turn round the side of the centre half. And the early joy that Manchester City were getting with Haaland against Holding, Arsenal have been able to restrict the number of times that City have been able to get themselves into that position latterly. Arsenal bring it forward again with Saka, and Nketiah couldn't control it. Vieira can, plays it forward. Trossard taking on Lewis inside the area. Good save. And it didn't quite break for Vieira. Second decent stop of the evening from Ortega. It's Arsenal that have had the 2 best chances of the game now. One from Trossard, one from Tomiyasu. Still 0-0 the score. Tierney for Xhaka. Granit Xhaka coming in off that left-hand touchline, the ground where he was set off last season. Back for Gabriel. Gabriel to Holding. Out towards Tomiyasu. Played forward again towards Saka. Saka faced up by Nathan Ake. Can't get past his man, and Ake's done well. Dispossesses him, then feeds Grealish. Grealish bringing it forward 10 yards. Looking long for Haaland. Out comes goalkeeper Turner. He's got to read those because there'll be plenty of them tonight. And he's swept up well on 2 or 3 occasions. Gets that one clear, but there's another good run involving Leandro Trossard and forcing a save from Ortega, Stuart.
Yeah, firstly, that save. Magnificent save. He's made 2 very good saves, Ortega, already this evening. And it shows maybe Arsenal's slight superiority in the game. And that was the first time from City's point of view, ball in behind. And the worst you're going to get is a throw in because you've got a game centre forward who's got really good pace and get after things.
Ortega thrashes it long again, where Haaland, 31-goal man, can bring it down and feed Grealish. Grealish coming in to a central position, but took it one touch too far, and Thomas Partey, who's had a magnificent campaign, was there to sweep up and get it away. Back for Stones. Stones to Akanji. Lewis. Possession 50-50 a few minutes ago, but Manchester City are beginning to see more of the ball and restricting the amount of possession that Arsenal are getting in their half particularly. Lewis has it again and goes back for Ortega. Ortega controlling it inside the box, brings it to the edge, and will prepare to look upfield again.
We just had a situation there, 4-on-4, right on the halfway line. Manchester City got the ball against Arsenal, and Arsenal were happy to go really tight and press really hard, even though they're only probably 10 by 10 metres apart from each other, because they know City won't play the ball in behind them. And if you're a defender and you know your winger ain't going to come short and spin behind, it does not encourage you to go tight.
So, seeing that then, should Manchester City just say, OK, well, let's mix it up. It's not what we ordinarily do, but shall we deviate away from plan A and try and play that pass, if nothing else, to keep that Arsenal back line honest?
What you've got to do is play the way you normally do, but have it up your sleeve that, look, if it's on and there's space in behind, toss one in behind now and then, because all of a sudden you'll find that the likes of Tierney won't be as brave getting as tight on Mahrez if he knows there's a chance that ball either might be going in behind for Mahrez to spin him, or alternatively for De Bruyne to burst in there.
Talking of Tierney's got the ball in his hands. He's level with the edge of the Manchester City penalty area, and he takes a throw. 24 gone at 0-0 on Talksport. Holding. There's an aerial pass that has misdirected. It bounces out away from Saka and over the line for a Manchester City throw. City have got a brilliant record here in the FA Cup. They've won their last 9 home games in the competition. They've scored at least 3 in each of those. In fact, in those 9 games, they've scored 40 and conceded only 4. So that just gives you an idea of the historical trend that Arsenal are going to have to try and buck tonight. But as I mentioned earlier, they've got a really good record in this fixture, in this competition against City. Haaland's got it now. Just puts it at the feet of Rodri. Rodri driving it forward. Mahrez. Arsenal stretched for the first time. They got a condensed defensive shape back behind the ball. Mahrez with his trademark cut inside, trying to get a left-footed shot in. It was blocked. Lewis back for De Bruyne. De Bruyne opening it up, left-footed, curves it just wide. That was Manchester City at their best, and we had the perfect view of that. Kevin De Bruyne onto his left foot, just jinked 1 yard to his left, curved it, but he couldn't quite get it to curve back quite enough to beat Matt Turner.
Yeah, it's that type of ball on turnover of possession in the middle band that Mahrez is on to get it out wide, and they fed him, and he's got the opportunity. All of a sudden, players have got to back off then into their own box, and they've got a problem. But De Bruyne has won. He's put plenty of curl on it, but we were right behind it, and I still didn't know whether that was in or not.
Just waiting for the crowd reaction at that end of the ground. Kevin De Bruyne, who lost to Arsenal in both of those semi-finals I was talking about earlier, in 17 and 20. He scored in the final in 2019, the only time that City have won it under Pep. Fabio Vieira bringing it forward here for Arsenal. To Trossard, left-hand side of the penalty area. Lewis making life difficult, but he couldn't get the ball off the Belgian, who's certainly got a trick up his sleeve and already very much looks at home in Arsenal's red and white. Tierney, 5 yards in from the left-hand touchline, just a little bit further forward than where we sat. And he tried a reverse ball down the line for Trossard, and it's still a work in progress. They're trying to get the lines of communication right down this left with the new boy, and it's gone out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken by Ortega. I know Trossard's impressed you in a Brighton shirt. What do you think of him as an Arsenal signing? Is it something that you can see? Do you think he fits in well into this team?
Well, I think it's so important for Arsenal's lineup to have, you've got impact on the right with Saka, to have another player that can go past people. I think whenever you're playing that, 4-2-3-1 situation, I think it's so important that your wide players have got the ability to go past people. If they can't beat them, you've got a real problem. And certainly Trossard's prepared to deliver the ball, keep possession of the ball to get his team up the pitch, and more importantly, drive at the goal diagonally into the pitch and take people on.
Now, he's making his full debut for Arsenal tonight. He's actually making his full debut in this competition. never previously started an FA Cup tie before. Off the bench on 3 occasions. Hoping that tonight will bring him his first FA Cup goal as well. He has scored 7 in Brighton colours before his move to Arsenal. Trossard just showing for the ball into feet from Tierney and then spinning away behind Lewis, who lets him go, knowing that Rodri will be able to pick him up. Tierney throws it down the line. Looked like a foul throw. Don't think he had either foot on the ground when it was launched in there. Xhaka plays it back for Partey. Partey sends it wide out towards the Arsenal right-hand side for Bukayo Saka. Pep down on one knee on the edge of the technical area at the moment. Saka takes a stumble under pressure and duress from Ake, and Ake's going to be able to bring it away. Take it out towards the far touchline, the City left, as they kick from left to right. Play it for Gundogan, lovely turn. Got the better of Partey, who fouled him. One of the rare free kicks that we've seen. And it's a free kick that will be taken by City themselves, 20 yards inside their own half. 0-0 the score.
Yes, Ake's dealt with Saka pretty well on a couple of occasions. He's been left one-on-one, stays on his feet, he's quick, uses his body quite well. And he's probably played more games this year, or seems to be more consistent in his appearances recently, Ake, than in previous times.
That's absolutely the case. It's the 22nd appearance of the season today. Arsenal drop back in hurriedly as City look long. Haaland's gone down with his hand on both hands on the back of his head, and because it's a head injury, the referee's obliged to stop it. As the latest instalment of the Haaland holding battle, and Gabriel is in there as well, holding, protesting his innocence. So the referee didn't think it was a foul. 2 players going for the ball. Haaland trying to back in, and just before he got there, a strong right arm from Holding caught him just right on the top of the spine of the neck. It's a free kick. No, sorry, it isn't a free kick, but it is treatment that Haaland needs, lying about 10 yards outside the penalty area. It's goalless here on Talksport.
Jim, if I was Haaland, I'd feel a bit aggrieved there. I mean, the referee stopped the game twice now for head injuries. That was a free kick against Haaland. He's taken an elbow in the side of his head, which for me is a free kick to Arsenal. Now, if you're VAR on this or whatever, or you're the 4th official, you've got to say to the referee, by the way, you've got a couple of these wrong already. That was wrong, and the grappling one earlier, which went against Haaland, was wrong as well. In key areas of the pitch, you can't get them wrong as a referee.
Yeah, that other one Stuart's talking about inside the opening 90 seconds of the game, where the free kick went against Haaland, and we certainly felt, with the benefit of a replay, that it should have gone the other way, and the referee would have had a big decision to make in terms of Rob Holding and the colour of the card he would have received. There's so much live sport for you across the Talksport network this weekend. That's aside from the 9 FA Cup 4th round ties, with exclusive radio commentaries across boxing, cricket and American football. Tomorrow, live and exclusive radio commentary of Artur Beterbiev against Anthony Yarde for the unified light heavyweight crown. That's from 10 o'clock on Talksport. On Sunday, England's men take on South Africa in the second one-day international. They lost the first today. It's live on Sunday from 7:30 a.m. on Talksport 2. Also on Sunday, the AFC Championship game between the Bengals and the Chiefs. And it's live on Talksport 2 from 11 on Sunday night. Haaland is back on his feet and is going to be able to continue, no problem. Just going through the concussion protocol while he was lying down there, but he's okay. Now play will resume, and it will resume with a drop ball. The referee Tierney had stopped it, seeing that Haaland had gone down with a head problem. Arsenal were in possession, and the ball will be dropped at the feet of Fabio Vieira here. We've played 31 on Talksport, and it remains Manchester City 0, Arsenal 0. Which of the two managers is the happiest, Stuart Pearce?
I would say without doubt Arteta. I think tactically they've looked very good. The only question mark you've got in Arsenal's whole approach is that Holding versus Haaland matchup, you know, and on 2 occasions now, from what I can see, in key areas of the pitch, they've had to foul Haaland. They've been fortunate that those fouls, or one's gone the wrong way and one hasn't been seen at all.
Rodrigo gave the ball away as he just tried to play a relatively routine pass out towards the touchline. He gave Arsenal a throw. Arsenal quickly work it from the far side of this side, and then Xhaka wins a free kick. And he's taking it quickly, back on his feet, put his hand on the ball to stop it, works it up the line for Trossard. Lewis in strongly. The officials, I don't think we're too sure which way that had gone. They gave it Arsenal's way for a throw. I'm sure that was correct. Xhaka coming back. Gundogan is back there with him, has to take it down towards his own corner flag and wins it. Rodri, in the position he was in, had to make sure that pass was more accurate than the one that had preceded it, that he played out wide. And it was, and he's got it back for Ortega. And Eddie Nketiah comes and at least pays lip service at putting a press on the Manchester City keeper. Forced him into a clearance that wasn't the best. Tierney got to it first. Trossard now taking it down towards the byline, flashes it in, and it's wide from Nketiah at the near post. And had he let it run, Fabio Vieira was in a decent position behind him. You can't blame Nketiah for making the most of it, getting across his marker at the near post, but he fired it wide.
Yeah, good movement from Nketiah there. Coming the back of central defender who couldn't see him, Kanji, and to be honest with you, good movement, flashed in, just couldn't get on enough on it to steer it goalward. But once again, Trossard, good wing play, good effective wing play, getting the ball across the face of goal.
Here's Eddie Nketiah. He's lost out immediately to Lewis. It was a nice moment. Zinchenko has come out to warm up, and he got a really warm ovation from the Manchester City supporters. Zinchenko back here for the first time since leaving the club. Here's Akanji. And Akanji lays it down towards John Stones. Stones for Ortega again. It's a night where clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities have been few and far between. Didn't necessarily see it panning out like that. City again determined to try and invite the Arsenal press and play through it. Ortega with the ball at his feet, and Nketiah just comes forward, gets in his eye line. Goalkeeper chips it down towards the near touchline for Mahrez. Stones back for Akanji, and he'll play it forward into the feet of Haaland. Haaland looking for the feet of Kevin De Bruyne, but missed them from close range. How to play for an Arsenal throw. We've seen a few misplaced passes from each team in the opening 35 minutes.
Yeah, we've had a couple there, and once again, I can't underestimate the power of Ederson playing in this team, you know, because he looks up Ortega and he's got reasonable range with his pass, but he can't play a ball in behind Arsenal's back line and make it bounce. And that is a real game changer when you've got a goalkeeper that can do that.
Tierney takes a throw, and Nketiah did really well to come and field it. Got in between two City players. Then he goes down, but the referee spotted a handball before he did so. And the free kick goes Manchester City's way, just outside their own penalty area. Now you can understand the logic of Pep wanting to play Ortega. He knows that he has to give him the big match experience. Remember, Ortega was a goalkeeper that got relegated last season when he was playing for Arminia Bielefeld in the Bundesliga. And Ederson has not played too many FA Cup ties. Ball forward from City now, looking for Haaland, and Holding mops up, stepped up and flicked it to his right hand side. Partey clears, out of play for a Manchester City throw.
Yeah, Grealish has got the ball twice now to feet, and when he's run, he's caused Tomiyasu a big problem. And what he's got to do is free himself up to get on that ball a little bit more readily if he can.
Ake to Grealish. Manchester City 0, Arsenal 0. Ake for De Bruyne. Oh, cleverly done by De Bruyne. And then he went down and the referee said no foul, and then he does put whistle to mouth when Saka then is fouled by Grealish a couple of seconds later. And it's a free kick that Arsenal will take, but Manchester City seem to have good cause for a claim for one of their own. It was brilliant from De Bruyne. Partey beaten, then tracked back with him. But it was a legitimate challenge, according to Paul Tierney, who was a lot closer than me.
Yep, another marginal that I think's gone Arsenal's way. There weren't a lot in it, I've got to say.
Gabriel. Forward from him, chested down by Stones, away from Trossard. Trossard then winning it back from Lewis. Tierney from Nketiah. Nketiah in the form of his life. He's got 7 goals in his last 7 games, including a couple at Oxford in the third round victory that Arsenal had. Gunners work it wide for Vieira. Now Tomiyasu in a more central area can fire one out towards the left. Tierney whacks it back in, and almost hits the corner flag. It was a cross that was driven towards the far post, but he got the angle wrong, the pace as well. And it goes innocuously out of play for a goal kick to Manchester City. We're 8 minutes from half-time. Still 0-0, no extra time tonight. No penalties. They're still replays in the FA Cup 4th round. Not any further than this in the competition these days, but there is an FA Cup replay if this one ends all square. Last thing that the two managers want is yet another meeting of the two sides. They'd have to crowbar it in between now and that first league game between the two on February the 15th. It would almost certainly be played the week before.
And that's something I don't think they would like, sort of back-to-back games, certainly.
But you'd rather the replay than going out the cup, I guess. Tierney, Mahrez, and then Tierney with a slight miss kick. Haaland chasing after it, might get there first. He's flicked it wide. And Tierney raises his right hand by way of apology. Haaland was tracking with Gabriel as it bounced a little bit awkwardly after the touch through the midfield. Miscued completely from Tierney. Haaland gave Gabriel 5 yards over 15 and still got there first. But having to stretch, got his foot to it and flicked it wide.
Yeah, it just shows the power that he's got with that ball in behind. And if they get 1 or 2 more balls just going in behind, just to ask questions of the Arsenal backline, I think that'll pay dividends.
Remains 0-0 for now. Rodri battling with Nketiah, won the second instalment of it. Kanji gets it back to his goalkeeper. Ortega thought about going long, but flicked it out towards Stones. Stones very nearly dispossessed by Trossard, who smacked the ground with the palm of his hand in frustration. Then it's worked back towards Ortega, and Ortega collides with Nketiah right on the edge of the penalty area. It was no foul. No claims from Nketiah that it should have been. Arsenal have done well to win the second ball with Xhaka. Trossard has got Rodri with him, and he's facing the wrong way, Leandro Trossard. Mahrez comes back and digs it clear and gets it out of harm's way to find Kevin De Bruyne. But Trossard asking some pretty pertinent questions down this Arsenal left-hand side at times. Grealish has it now. Grealish driving, flicks it away between 2 Arsenal players. He's found Haaland. Haaland can turn, and he too will drive. And towards the left-hand side of the penalty area for Kevin De Bruyne. Pulled back by him. Rodri to Gundogan to De Bruyne again. Grealish takes over. Right-footed, too deep for Haaland. And it curves away. Out of play very tamely in the end for a goal kick to Arsenal. We're into the final 5 minutes of the first half.
Yeah, Haaland unfortunate there. He's pulled out beyond Gabriel and waiting for the long ball to come over to the far post. Then he sort of got a little bit impatient, thinking the ball wasn't going to come. He's come inside Gabriel, and then they floated the ball in to the far post. The life of a centre-forward.
The life of a centre-forward, but he's used to being on the end of the good service. He has scored in 12 of his last 13 home games. So in his last 13 matches here, he scored 22 goals. The only game in that run that he hasn't scored in was the home defeat to Brentford, which remains the only game the City have lost here this season. They dropped points against Everton. They've won the rest in all competitions, 13 out of 15. But Haaland's numbers, however you paint them, are bordering on miraculous. He's now got 150 goals in 147 games since he left Norway. And 207 for club and country by the age of 22. I hate to think how many he might end up getting. Hasn't really had a glimmer of an opportunity so far tonight. They'll play him in now, and Ortega with another ball that's just through the midfield, and then Holding clearly and cynically has stopped him, and he gets a yellow card. Haaland came to meet it, he laid it off and turned, spun, and Holding knew that he was past him, and he almost rugby tackled him to the ground.
Well, that's the third time that he's fouled him on my eye in this game, and he's been booked for that one, and to be honest with you, he probably could have been booked for the other 2 as well.
Holding by name. Holding by nature.
Grappling by nature.
First yellow card. And it goes Rob Holding's way. This is first of the campaign. Ball out of play for an Arsenal throw. Vieira did well to come to meet it, flicked it on, but Nketiah was offside. The free kick will be taken by City midway between the edge of the penalty area and the halfway line. Such an open start. First 10 minutes, an engaging spectacle. It has slowed down a little bit since then. There's a few verbals are going on in the midfield. It's Gundogan that is in the ear of the referee. City were going to take a free kick, and then the referee blew his whistle and now has a very animated discussion with Ilkay Gundogan. But no yellow card for dissent or anything. And play does resume with that Manchester City free kick. Ortega with a couple of smart saves. The second of them to deny Trossard was a good one. He's got the ball at his feet again in the penalty area. He just invites all the time and Nketiah to come to meet it. Now it's launched forward long by Ortega. Haaland backing into Holding. Arsenal clear and then give it away with a mistake in the midfield from Vieira. And it's out of play for a throw that Lewis will take for Manchester City with his feet almost on the edge of the technical area as he does so. Back it goes for Stones. And Stones in turn to his goalkeeper Ortega. A couple of minutes to go to half time. There'll be a couple of minutes of stoppage time at the very least after the treatment that Haaland picked up. Looked like a slight push on a Akanji. Still weird to see somebody other than Fernandinho wearing 25 for Manchester City, but it is a Akanji these days. Here's Rodri just on the edge of his own penalty area, and he's given it away. Grealish wanted the ball into feet and didn't get it. Arsenal play it forward quickly. Akanji doing well to stop Nketiah, and then staying firm in the challenge before calmly knocking it away to find Rodri, who heaves the cry of man on. Saka was bearing down on him. Rodri turns it wide. Mahrez chasing after it, and the ball took a real skittish bounce and just leapt off the surface ahead of Mahrez, and he stood no chance of being able to keep it in. And it's out of play for an Arsenal throw down by their own corner flag. Almost at half-time, Stuart Pearce. And still we wait for the first truly significant moment of the night. 0-0.
Yeah, we do. As I say, a couple of good saves at one end from Ortega. He's done pretty well. And a couple of near misses, let's say, from Haaland. And a couple of decisions, potentially, that were a little bit costly to Haaland as well from the referee. But it's all to play for. You really couldn't call this one. I think Arsenal will be delighted with the amount of possession they had, their tactical approach to the game. And, you know, I'm fresh from watching Manchester United and knowing full well whenever they're defending and they lose possession of the ball, you know, on the turnover, within 2 or 3 passes, someone's running in behind your back line, or that's what they're looking for. City need to find a little bit of that to go with their possession play.
Yeah, Stuart Fresh from watching Manchester United in the 3-0 Carabao Cup semi-final first leg win against Nottingham Forest. The second leg of that coming your way on Wednesday. By that stage, the winners of that, and it is Manchester United in the box seat, will know who they're going to be playing, because the second leg of the Newcastle-Southampton semi-final live from Tyneside Tuesday night with a 7 o'clock build-up ahead of an 8 o'clock kick-off at St James's Park. Join Adrian Durham and the team for that on Tuesday. We are in 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half, but the 2 minutes haven't really started yet because John Stones is down injured. I just wonder whether this might potentially be a hamstring problem that he's picked up. Ake looks really concerned, so too the City medical staff as they lean over him and they administer treatment, and Ake looks over towards the technical area with gritted teeth. A suggestion that this might not be too good for John Stones. City send the substitutes out to warm up. They got Ruben Dias in terms of centre halves on the bench. Emerick Laporte as well. And we've seen Kyle Walker play at centre half in a 4 in the last 2-3 weeks or so, which he did in that 2-0 loss at Southampton in the League Cup quarter-final. So plenty of options for Manchester City if Stones can't continue, but this would be a blow for Manchester City if they lose their number 5 just before half-time to injury.
Yeah, it's looking very dubious that it'll carry on. I hope I'm wrong. The fact he was just sort of lying on his back with his knees up to his chest, not wanting to move that hamstring.
Well, he's back on his feet now.
Yeah, change.
And he makes his way down towards this touchline, but no risks can be taken, nor should they be. And so Manchester City will make a change in first half stoppage time, and there'll be an ovation for Stones as he leaves the field. John Stones, a member of the Everton side that lost to Arsenal in the quarterfinals of this competition back in 2014. A couple of homemade signs requesting his shirt being held up by young City fans between us and the touchline. He hasn't seen those. He'll make his way straight down the tunnel for treatment, and Aymeric Laporte is the player who's getting stripped and ready for action, and he'll be on at the next break in play. But I think the referee is going to try and encourage Manchester City to restart with a throw. Laporte's not ready yet, and so Lewis takes the throw. Mahrez getting the loose ball, returns possession sportingly to Arsenal, and Laporte is now ready to come on. Rob Jones, the fourth official, just having a word with him. He'll be on in the next break in play.
Yeah, with 2 minutes to go to half time, and Laporte's got his shirt, found his shirt in the bag, put his shirt on. Now he's getting his pads on. Now he's tying his laces. And I think we'll have the half-time whistle before he gets on the pitch at this rate.
Yeah, every chance. The ball has gone out of play for a throw. And, yeah, he's okay. He's going to be able to come on. So Laporte on for Stones, and that's Manchester City's first change. Stones going off with a hamstring problem. So Akanji will shift to the right of the two centre-halves to accommodate Laporte's arrival. And the throw taken by Arsenal finds Gabriel. Gabriel hooking it forward. It's 0-0 coming up to half-time. Lewis getting it away from Tierney. Pep just acts as the ball boy. Controls it. Well, controls it after a fashion. And hands the ball to Gabriel, who can take a throw for Arsenal. It's then thrown up the line underarm so that Tierney can take it from where the ball went out of play. 0-0. Seconds left in the first half. And Ketia, trying to make the most of a stumble by Lewis, has been able to hook the ball in, but he's curved straight behind the goal and out for a goal kick that'll be taken by Ortega. So what's the gist of the two half-time team talks, Stu?
For me, and Manchester City don't play this way, but I think they've got to probably try and mix it up with Arsenal and get them turned on occasion. I'm not talking about regularly, I'm talking about on occasion. Maybe turn over a possession in that midfield band, look for that ball in behind. And really, it's a case of isolating the Arsenal defenders. Grealish has got the beating of Tomiyasu. He's shown that on a couple of occasions. Haaland has got his opponent on a booking. That's the matchup, that's the problem.
Well, at half-time in their third round tie, Manchester City had already got the job done against Chelsea. Far from it tonight against the one side above them in the Premier League. Half-time, it's Manchester City 0, Arsenal 0.
Well, neither side has given much in that first 45 minutes. Not given much away, to be perfectly honest. It's been a somewhat tentative first half, a few chances, both sides feeling one another out, but you get the feeling that both of them could find an extra gear or two in that second 45 minutes. Coming up live and exclusive here on Talksport. Stuart Pearce, it's a slight anti-climax, isn't it? Why is that?
I think it's been a good tactical match-up between the two, and probably two coaches that know each other well, and two very similar, if you like, styles. And I think there's been fine margins, really, why we haven't broken the deadlock. Two decent goals at one end from two defensive saves by Ortega at one end, and I think Haaland's been a little bit unfairly treated by the referee in a couple of instances I've seen with Holding.
Rob Holding was booked eventually. Could have easily had a couple of cards before then. Early on, couple of minutes on the clock. Looked like Erling Haaland was going to burst through on goal, and it was adjudged to be a foul by Haaland. The replay showed Holding had a big grip on his shirt, and it could have been an early red card. He has been booked. You'd be amazed if Mikel Arteta leaves him out there.
Well, I mean, it's, to be fair, he's under a little bit of pressure now. They're dropping the ball with the high press from Arsenal. They're dropping the ball into the chest of Haaland, and Holding knows if he gets half a yard on me and gets the other side, I'm not catching him. So you're right, he's under big pressure there, and whether he decides, listen, if you lose a player in a game of this magnitude, I don't think you can certainly win it.
You mentioned the high press there from Arsenal. How brave a tactic. How impressed are you by the fact that they have approached the game in this way, given the 6 changes from Mikel Arteta and maybe a perceived lack of quality by comparison to the strength of the Manchester City starting lineup? He didn't change on his principles.
No, certainly not. I think it's a really good tactical approach, the high press. What it does is it matches up 3 for 3 on the halfway line, and you know full well the goalkeeper's not got the tools to tonk it in behind and get you turned round. So that's one of those. And they've got a height advantage in both the wide areas with Mahrez and Grealish as well, so they should turn it over readily.
Haven't seen either side creating enough. You know, we're talking about the two best sides in the country right now, who have thrilled at times so far this season. In terms of chance creation, why are they finding it so tough?
Just good tactical approach by both teams. I think both teams have done really well filling areas if they have been semi-breached, and when I say that I'm talking maybe more so Manchester City, when sort of Grealish has gone past Tomiyasu on occasion, Partey's got across and filled a gap and whatever, and it's just two really good teams, I think, going head to head, and when you've got two really good teams you're not going to get a lot of chances in games.
Which manager the happier then at the break?
For me, I think it'd be Arteta. He's on the road. Arsenal look quite comfortable in the game. They've made changes, and listen, if I had to pick a man of the match at this moment in time, I'd probably say Trossard. I think he's played very well, so I would say out of the two, Arteta would be the happier.
And the goalkeeper watch, I know you've had a close eye, you earmarked it before the game as a key area for both. Ortega for City, Turner for Arsenal.
Yeah, I've got to say Ortega probably coming out on top. He's made two very good saves, you know. One, Tomiyasu's driven one at him, he's got two good hands to it. Trossard's had an even better save from Trossard cutting inside, and up the other end a few nervous moments for Turner early on, you know, and I thought he was, when he come out of his box with Haaland, he's got there first, but I thought, well, if you're slightly late on this one, you're coming to sit with us.
Delicately poised at the break, then goalless between Manchester City and Arsenal. Remember, of course, this could go to a replay in the fourth round of the FA Cup if the score stays level here tonight, but we will see if the deadlock can be broken after the break. Important 45 minutes on the way here on Talksport. Remember, Talksport Breakfast will be back on Monday morning, 6 a.m. Laura Woods, Ali McCoy's reacting to this huge weekend of FA Cup action across the Talksport network. Expect great guests, all the latest transfer news as well, ahead of Tuesday's deadline, as well as many lighter moments.
His wife's sitting there, and after an hour she says, "You don't care about me anymore." He says, "What do you mean?" She don't care about me. You've no noticed then, have you? And he looked at her, he went, aye, you've had your hair done. She says, "No, I've no had my hair done." "You've had a manicure?" "No, I've no had my lashes done. I've got a crash helmet on."
We did hear some rumours of cheating. Could you put the record straight?
Oh, honestly, Laurie, you've never seen anything like it. He was unbelievable. He used to write the names down on the inside of his hand and everything. He used to be unbelievable.
We always talk about players having to become these robots. Don't make the managers do that as well.
She done it on Virgin Radio.
Aye.
They get cornflakes, they get Rice Krispies, they get you name the whole lot. We get nothing up at our end.
Well, what do you want me to do about it? I'm only here 2 days a week now. You want me to complain to the bosses?
Burns evenings and Burns suppers, where traditionally we eat haggis, titties. Tatties! Get that dumped immediately!
Always a lot of fun on Talksport Breakfast. Laura Woods and Ali McCoy, Monday morning from 6 a.m. right here on Talksport. Plenty more to look out for. Nadine Dorries is going to host a new Friday night talk show on Talk TV. Does that raise an eyebrow? I'll be watching, I'm sure. The former Secretary of State for Digital Culture, Media and Sport kicks off her first Friday night offering with an exclusive one-on-one interview with the former Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. A weekly hour-long show, Friday night with Nadine, will be an irreverent look at the week's news, a lively mix of topical chat with guests from the world of politics, culture and sport. It begins Friday, the 3rd of February on Talk TV from 8 p.m. Up next here, though, the second half of Manchester City against Arsenal. At the break, it is goalless.
FA Cup Live on Talksport with Carling, the UK's #1 lager. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Free airport lounge access with 4- and 5-star holidays with On the Beach. See terms and conditions outbound only, subject to availability at all protected.
On the beach. Check this out. You can get a 12-month warranty when you service your Toyota with us. Whatever your foibles. Car smells of dog? Snip this new warranty instead. Missed a service? Well, I'm sure you were busy. Let's warranty and make up. Our specialist Toyota technicians will check everything out and, as long as it's under 10 years and 100,000 miles, guarantee your car for a full 12 months as part of your service. Just search Toyota Warranty. 12-month warranty on the completion of a service at an authorised Toyota centre. Vehicles must be under 10 years old and under 100,000 miles at the time of service. T's and C's apply.
This football season, get a hand from Betfair's popular bet builder and easily add our fan favourite football selections to your bet slip in just one tap. And you can get a £5 free bet when you place a £5 bet builder on Man City versus Arsenal. How handy is that? Betfair.
Max £5 free bet builder valid for 72 hours. Cash bets only. Exclusions, minimum combined odds and conditions apply. 18 plus begambleaware.org.
A traffic update for all late-night travellers. There are delays outside getting to bed due to a hold-up at Grand's Never-Ending Stories. Please take the diversion via Mayo Chicken or a warming latte, which will see you home. Plenty of McDonald's restaurants are open late tonight. See mcdonalds.com for opening times.
FA Cup Live on Talksport with Carling, the UK's #1 lager. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
Game day. The games, the goals and the glory. On DAB, online and on your smart speaker. FA Cup Game Day Countdown live.
On Talksport.
Powered by fans.
We are here at the Etihad Stadium on FA Cup Game Day exclusive. A first half of few chances. Manchester City 0, Arsenal 0. Here's the half-time highlights with Carling.
FA Cup half-time highlights on Talksport with Carling, the UK's #1 lager. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
The FA Cup fourth round starts here, and why would you want to be anywhere else in the world for that matter? As I said, the two best teams in the country right now going head-to-head. It's Manchester City versus Arsenal, live and exclusive on Talksport.
A mistake from Holding. Haaland almost in. He might yet be. It's an overhead kick, a bit of improvisation. Tomiyasu will chest it down, stop it going in. Arsenal bring it forward again with Saka, and Nketiah couldn't control it. Vieira can, plays it forward. Trossard taking on Lewis inside the area, good save, and it didn't quite break for Vieira. Second decent stop of the evening from Ortega. Lewis back for De Bruyne. De Bruyne opening it up, left-footed, cabs it just wide. That was Manchester City at their best.
That was the first half highlights, thanks to Carling, the UK's #1 lager. It's 18 plus. Please drink responsibly.
FA Cup half-time highlights on Talksport with Carling, the UK's #1 lager. 18 plus, please drink responsibly.
Well, there are a few stories from the world of football to bring you before we begin the second half. Talksport understands that Leicester City are closing in on signing Shakhtar Donetsk's Brazilian winger Tete. The 22-year-old has been impressive, out on loan at Lyon. His loan there, though, will be terminated in order for him to join the Foxes. And Kieran Trippier has signed a new contract at Newcastle United, keeping him at the club until the summer of 2025. I'm Hugh Wisencroft at the Etihad, alongside the former England defender Stuart Pearce. One of the other big pieces of news today, we fully expect that Sean Dyche will become the next manager of Everton, replacing Frank Lampard at Goodison Park. Your thoughts on Sean Dyche? There had been rumours and reports earlier on in the week that Marcelo Bielsa was in talks to take over. Are Everton making the right choice here?
I think so, yes. I think he's a brilliant appointment for where they are at this moment in time. You know, they've got their backs to the wall. The fans need uniting, and the team need to give the fans something to cheer on. And to be fair, I think Sean Dyche is the man to do that. You know, he grew things at Burnley. I know he's probably in some people's eyes not a sexy appointment, but I think where they are at the moment as a football club, and sometimes I look at clubs and managers and personalities, I see it similar probably to Moisey coming in to join the club many years ago. You know, that type of hard-working manager that's very well organised, and I think Dyche is a great appointment.
Strange to say this, but is it a risk for him taking over at Everton, given all of the problems that are going on off the pitch?
What I would say is this, I think Everton are a very good football club with a great future in front of them. New stadium talked about in the oncoming future. What I would say, Dyche's got a record as well of getting teams promoted from the Championship. Now that's not why he's come through the door today. He's come in there, first port of call, keep this team in the Premier League. But if you want someone with a CV that can take a team from the Championship back up again, you've got someone ready-made.
Big appointment for Everton. We'll see if that's confirmed in the next 48 hours or so. Sean Dyche very, very likely, though, to become the new manager at Goodison Park. Reminder, though, we've got a huge weekend of FA Cup games coming for you. This is the first of 9 live commentaries across the next few days. Tomorrow on Talksport, 4 live matches for you. Walsall against Leicester. In fact, 3 live matches. Walsall against Leicester. Then we'll have Game Day Live with Dan Windle, Alvin Martin and Chris Uwalumo. Our second live commentary on TalkSport's Preston against Spurs. And then at 8 p.m, Manchester United taking on Reading before our live boxing for Turbia versus Yard. And over on TalkSport 2 tomorrow, 2 live commentaries. Accrington against Leeds at 12:30, and at 3 o'clock it's Fulham against Sunderland. On Sunday we'll have Brighton against Liverpool from 1:30, Wrexham against Sheffield United at 4:30 before our live NFL action on TalkSport 2, and it all ends on Monday night with Derby County against West Ham United. Looking ahead though, Stuart, to this second half, Matt Turner out there warming up already. What would you like to see from these two sides? I feel this game could probably be decided from the substitutes bench, and there's a lot of good players on the bench of both sides, but who knows if there's an energy of injection of energy in the start of this second half, the way that Pep Guardiola has asked these fans to bring that fire, if you like. This first 10-15 minutes of the second half could be all important.
Yeah, it could. You can't help thinking at this stage, with real open chances at a premium, the first goal in this game is going to be absolutely crucial. There's no doubt about that. And listen, I've quite enjoyed the game. I've got to say, I think it's an intriguing match-up between arguably the 2 best form teams in the country at the moment, and certainly the best form team, I would say, Arsenal. And as I say, they'll be pleased with the first half, especially on the road at Manchester City. And a lot of changes we spoke about before the game, a lot of changes, but they look almost seamless, don't they? I wonder if Odegaard could be one of those changes to come and impact the game.
The thing that City have been able to do to change games of late, though, is inject that intensity, more sprinting, harder into challenges, raising the level. These fans as well, importantly, making a difference here at the Etihad Stadium. Do they need that again this evening?
Yeah, of course they do. I mean, it's a brilliant atmosphere in here. Arsenal travelling with 8,000 fans, I believe, and most of the 2 upper tiers to our right-hand side. And I think we're looking at a potential change.
Looks like we are. Can't see Thomas Partey at the moment. Can see Sambi Lokonga, and can see Saliba, and can't see Rob Holding. What do you make of that?
Well, Holding would be a common sense one. He's been booked. I think he's been fortunate not to have been booked, at least for one of the other 2 challenges that have gone against him or been ignored. So a real sensible change on that one, and hopefully he can do a slightly better job on Haaland.
We shall see if they have an effect for Mikel Arteta's Arsenal side. A huge game here at the Etihad Stadium. The goals haven't materialised as yet, and a goal could change this game. The second half live and exclusive on TalkSport with former England defender Stuart Pearce and Jim Proudfoot.
So Saliba for Holding and Lokonga for Partey. The double change made by Arsenal at half-time. We're back underway. Manchester City going from right to left. Light blue shirts with the dark blue trim. White shorts. And the Gunners in their famous red and white. And the ball is back for Stefan Ortega, who made a couple of important saves for Manchester City in that first half. Saliba and Haaland involved in their first skirmish since Saliba came on. A little bit of shirt pulling going on there. Tomiyasu chasing after a ball that was laid down to the City left. Grealish, though, was offside. And it will be a free kick which will be taken by Arsenal on the right-hand side of their penalty area. City lining up, Ortega in goal, Lewis, Akanji, Laporte, who came on for Stones right at the end of the first half because of a hamstring problem, and Ake. Then Rodri and Gundogan, Mahrez, De Bruyne and Grealish, and Haaland. Arsenal, Turner in goal, Tomiyasu, Saliba, Gabriel and Tierney. Vieira, Lokonga and Xhaka, Saka and Nketiah and Trossard. And Eddie Nketiah going up for the ball with Aymeric Laporte, the other number 14 on the field. City clear it. And De Bruyne giving chase as it's laid back for Turner. Turner down for Saliba on the right-hand side of the Arsenal back line for a moment. He finds Tomiyasu on the touchline. Tomiyasu forced to take a touch. Back down towards his own dead ball line. He's under pressure from Grealish. Tomiyasu playing it into the corner flag, and it's been given as a goal kick. I wasn't expecting the referee to point for a goal kick. I thought it was going to be a corner. So too did Jack Grealish and the Manchester City fans who had the perfect view. But referee Tierney was closer than I. It is a goal kick. They've taken it short. And back he goes for Turner. Long ball forward from him. Ake beating Saka to it. Heads it out of play for a throw. Alongside me, Jim Bradford here at the Etihad, is Stuart Pearce.
Yep, we'll have to check whether referee Tierney's got the same Scottish drawl as Tierney, the left back. I don't know whether they're related. There's been a couple of marginals that have certainly angered the Manchester City fans, and that being another one of them.
And here is Kieran Tierney giving chase down the Arsenal left-hand side. And Paul Tierney, the referee, points for an Arsenal throw. Correctly. Gunners getting bodies forward towards the edge of the penalty area here. It's 0-0. Turner hasn't had a worthwhile save to make on a day that Manchester City, I think so far, have only had the one shot on target. Arsenal working back for Saliba. Saliba playing it forward, and Nketiah comes back from an offside position. Referee says play on. Laporte got it, side-footed it forward, finding Mahrez to Gundogan. Gundogan forced to retrace his steps and go back inside his own half for a moment. Plays in Ake. Ake, the dreadlock Dutchman, forward towards Grealish, and Grealish given a shove off the ball from Tomiyasu once he'd played the ball, and it's a free kick which will be taken by Manchester City. A look of incandescence from Grealish and one of chorister-like innocence from Tomiyasu. Free kick given. Laporte to his goalkeeper Ortega, thought about going long first time, does so at the second time of asking. Tomiyasu comes back, does well. A bounce of the ball, and then got a cushion header back to his goalkeeper away from Haaland. Still 0-0.
Yeah, this is to say, no doubt Arsenal, I think, by far the happier of the two camps at this moment in time. But once again, still in the balance there. So both teams tactically so well set up to nullify each other. The press is good from both teams, and they're forcing goalkeepers to play long straight balls, and that just puts the defenders to be in the ascendancy.
And Lewis playing it back for Akanji. Manchester City have won their last 7 fourth-round ties. They were last beaten at this stage back in 2015 when they lost 2-0 to Middlesbrough here. They have only been eliminated from 2 of the last 18 fourth-round ties that they played. Arsenal lost their last one, which came against Southampton a couple of years ago. Lost the Championship side Forest last year. And Forest then in the Championship, should I say. So they lost their last FA Cup tie against Premier League opposition, and they were to be eliminated by Manchester City. It'll be the first time in 12 years they've lost successive FA Cup ties to Premier League opposition. Such a good record in this competition over the recent past. Arsenal, they've won it 4 times in the last 9 years. One of those on Arteta's watch back in 2020. Saliba on as a half-time substitute, pokes the ball away from Haaland and lays it back for Gabriel. Gabriel looking long, trying to bring Trossard into it. City mop up. Rodri back for Akanji. Tierney does well. Steps up from the defensive line, heads it down for Trossard. Trossard to Xhaka. Back for Lokonga. Lokonga a little bit awkward as he tried to control it. The ball ran away from him. City might be able to break. De Bruyne. He's got Haaland making a run ahead of him. He's trying to play him in. Haaland bustling, trying to get in between 2 Arsenal players who converged and closed out the space. And between them were able to sweep up.
Yeah, when De Bruyne's driven with the ball there, he's waiting for the pass, waiting for a defined run from Haaland. Haaland eventually made that run, but 2 Arsenal players, Tomiyasu being one of them, just come and converged on this space.
City come again. It's Gundogan. Haaland Saliba flicks it away. Had a good start. Gundogan back for Grealish. Grealish to Ake. 0-0. 6 gone in the second half on Talksport. Grealish again, coming to the bottom left-hand corner of the penalty area. Tomiyasu shadowing his every move, but not diving in, not committing himself, and just watching Grealish play it back behind square. Gundogan leaving it for Kevin De Bruyne. De Bruyne, left-footed ball curved inside the penalty area. Turner came out, dived, punched it clear with his left fist. Out it comes towards Lewis, exchanging passes with Mahrez on the Manchester City right. Bit more purposeful from Manchester City at the beginning of this second half. Rodri's got it near the edge of the centre circle. Plays it back inside to Laporte. Laporte to Lewis. De Bruyne back out to the right-hand side. Lewis continuing his run. Haaland's in there, but Lewis can't find him, and he fizzes across straight into the side netting. Promising position, but it quickly came to nothing.
Yeah, really good play there by City. Good interchange, and then it was just a great run. Kept his run, timed it really well. And when Lewis got to the byline, or just before it, he's trying to pull the trigger. No need. Take a touch. Plenty of time on his hands. Little bit of inexperience there from him.
Has scored 1 goal in his Manchester City career. He netted against Sevilla, which made him the youngest City player to score on his full Champions League debut for the club. That remains the only goal he scored so far. It's Gundogan heading Turner's ball back into Arsenal territory. And Grealish watches it run out of play after a touch from Vieira, who just got caught on the top of the foot there, Fabio Vieira. It's going to be a throw which will be taken by City's Nathan Ake, and Vieira just hobbles away. He's going to be all right. Laporte back to his goalkeeper Ortega, just nudges it back across the face of Eddie Nketiah, but the whistle's gone. What's the referee seen here? Grealish has gone down on the near touchline. The problem is an injury for Turner upfield, and he's holding his left shoulder as he just strained his shoulder ligaments in that Superman style punching clearance by the look of it.
Yeah, it was at full stretch there, just extended the left hand for a punch above his head, and I think there was a collision potentially with one of his defenders. Just no, as I say, we watched the replay, no collision at all, but maybe the landing has just jarred him slightly.
Possibly just overextending the rotator cuffs as he come out as well. Shoulder ligaments, a very painful injury.
You sound as though you're talking through experience there, my friend.
I am.
I thought so.
Yeah, not sporting experience.
Cake eating experience, maybe, well, stretching over the counter.
I have plenty of that, as you know, but to be fair, I've never been so ill prepared that I've needed to stretch for one. Yeah, and these days they've always been.
They're always at hand,
as you know. Fell down a hill as an 18-year-old. It was icy. My body went. Put my hand down to stop myself. My body kept going down the hill.
That's not pleasant.
And my hand on my shoulder didn't. So yeah, that's my experience. A long time ago, but it hurts. Yeah. He's back on his feet. And play's going to resume with a Manchester City awarded drop ball. Just dropped by referee Tierney, to Laporte. And it'll be played back out. So Turner's going to be able to continue. Ramsdale have been preparing for action. Alvarez is going to be coming on for Manchester City shortly. They're in possession now with Mahrez taking inside the penalty area. De Bruyne on the overlap. Good save again from Turner, diving down. Got a strong hand to block the cross. And Arsenal will be able to get it clear. And Kanji, though, can pick it up on the right-hand side. Back for Lewis. De Bruyne. To Mahrez. And the volume picks up from the Manchester City fans around us. They've been encouraged by a brighter start to the second half. Arsenal very much hanging in there. No undue alarms for the Gunners up to this point. And it remains 0-0 with 10 gone in the second half. The City will bring it forward again. And Mahrez, faced up by Trossard, turns back inside and then checks. And waits for the run outside him. He used that as the decoy. Fired it in too deep for Haaland, who went up for it and collided with Turner, who almost took exception to it. But they're both back on their feet and they've both got smiles on their face. And Haaland puts an arm around Turner's shoulders by way of apology for the collision. And play will restart with a goal kick, but only after a double Manchester City change. Are they going to make it now? No. And the next break in play. Alvarez coming on, and Walker is going to be coming on as well. Ake heads it away past Saka. Pep still got his arm around the waist of Walker and is talking him through what he expects. Alvarez has had his instructions. But Pep really animated and talking Kyle Walker through it. So the double change will be made when the ball next goes out of play. Kyle Walker, another member of the side that won this competition for Manchester City 4 years ago. Ball cleared by Gabriel. Trossard waves the left leg at it, but can't bring it under control. Manchester City have had more possession in this second half than they had in the first. They've got it now with Rodri going back. Laporte took a touch which went down towards his own dead ball line, and it was a really good pressure from Nketiah, good intensity about it, and Kanji will pick it up. He'll try and turn away from Trossard over on that far side, and it is a Manchester City ball, and Trossard looks up to the heavens with mock exasperation at the decision that has gone against him. So City's first change, Mahrez off and Alvarez on for him. And is the second change going to be Walker for Lewis? Yes, it is. So Walker for Lewis, Alvarez for Mahrez.
Yeah, I think Alvarez might offer him something that just might be an individual that's going to come off the line a little bit and dart in between the fullbacks. The way City play, they like Mahrez wide one side, Grealish wide the other. And I think both fullbacks or a centre-half sliding out to deal with them are quite comfortable with that. They know where they are. I think his movement might be something that might unhinge him slightly.
Well, Manchester City played with a 4-4-2 formation in the 6-0 win against Nottingham Forest here, where they had Haaland and Alvarez starting that day. They had Foden and Bernardo Silva in the wider positions. They are reverting to pretty much the 4-4-2 here to start with. The offside flag is up. Haaland going through the middle, and he's got Alvarez off his shoulder, really, almost as a 10, I suppose, with De Bruyne going out to the right and Grealish to the left. But it is ostensibly going to be 4-4-2 from here on in for Manchester City. 0-0 the score. Saliba playing it forward, and Nketiah going up for it. It might break. It does break for Fabio Vieira, and he had a snapshot left-footed volley that flew well wide.
Well, I'm not sure Vieira needed to take that first time. I really didn't. And Nketiah has done well getting first contact on it. Just a sort of back header, if you like. And as it fell to Vieira on the edge of the box, I think he had more time than he gave himself credit for.
City will bring it forward. Haaland watching the ball to the feet of De Bruyne, and then he turns and runs. De Bruyne angles a high ball out towards Grealish, but Tomiyasu easily beat him to it. Lokonga picking it up in the midfield. Just invited the challenge from Rodri. It was fouled. Free kick that Arsenal will take. You're listening to Manchester City against Arsenal. It's in the FA Cup. It's live on Talksport with Carling. We're made by our mates. 18 plus. Please drink responsibly. Is that a change you would have made going 4-4-2 for Manchester City from here?
I don't think there's any hardship in it, if I'm being honest with you. I think the two players out wide left Haaland very isolated. Sometimes that was a good thing, when Holding was on, he caused him a problem. I think to have someone in and around him to attract the other centre-half towards Alvarez might just help Haaland in this situation.
31 goals for Haaland so far this season, 9 for Alvarez, who did score against Chelsea in the only FA Cup tie he's ever played.
This might be the repercussion of that, though. I think they might get Tierney out because De Bruyne's the one expected to play the right side of midfield, and I think he'll naturally come in a little bit, and that might just free up Tierney to get forward on that side for Arsenal.
So Fabio Vieira's got the ball on the right-hand side of central midfield for Arsenal. Plays it back for Tomiyasu. Saliba into the feet of Granit Xhaka in the midfield. Back for Fabio Vieira again. And Fabio Vieira given a little shove. Almost a reminder off the ball by Jack Grealish. Grealish then just nudges Lokonga once the ball had gone. Lukonga playing it back to his goalkeeper. They're playing out from the back with Saliba. Saliba turning away from Alvarez, able to play it through the midfield, but it's a fight ball. It was won by Laporte. Gundogan playing it forward. The diminutive Alvarez, a short of stature, big of heart, plays it forward to the edge of the penalty area. Gundogan just given a little nudge by Trossard, who came across, so his touch was heavy, and he goes out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken for Arsenal. And it almost seems a daft thing to say with half an hour still to go and players of the quality that we've seen. This does have the feeling of a match that could end 0-0.
It certainly does. As I say, we've had not really too many indicators early on in this second half to suggest that either team's going to break the deadlock. I wonder whether Odegaard could be that man.
So 3 shots on target in the game. They were all in the first half. We're 16 minutes into the second half, and Manchester City haven't had a single attempt since the break, either on or off target. Ake clearing his lines, gets it away. It's been a really good, measured, well-disciplined Arsenal performance. Saka playing it forward, City having to play it, knocked away by Laporte from Nketiah. How he's grown and matured over the last month, 6 weeks or so. What a fantastic answer he's been to Arsenal's problems with the injury to City old boy Gabriel Jesus. Lukonga playing it for Fabio Vieira, trying to cut inside. Ake stuck out a right foot and flicked it off the island out of play for an Arsenal throw. Saka will come across to take it. It's 0-0, 62 gone.
I'll tell you what, Saka, I think, has been Arsenal's main threat over the last couple of months. He's been a real handful. But tonight, I've got to say, I think Ake's played him really, really well. It's one of the quieter games he's had up to this stage, and I think a lot of credit's got to go down to Ake for that.
Saliba. Forward over halfway to Bukayo Saka. Gundogan flicks it. Ake heads it. Rodri, Haaland, Gundogan forward here for Alvarez. De Bruyne making a run in an advanced position. Alvarez trying to find him. It's come off Gabriel, and he will just flick it out of play for a throw. Not convinced we've had a single corner in the game as yet. No, we haven't. And we're not too far short of the midway stage of the second half. That's gone out of play for a throw, which Grealish will take for Manchester City, only about 6 yards from the corner flag. Drops it at the feet of Alvarez, straight back to Grealish. Got himself back onside. Alvarez behind Ake for Laporte. The easy ball is Akanji to his right-hand side. He does play it belatedly to Akanji, who will just come forward calmly through the midfield. Now Alvarez, trying his luck, hits the post. Back for Grealish. Grealish inside the penalty area. Twisting, doesn't put a right-footed cross in. Tries to get in on his left, plays it back for Ake! 1-0 to Manchester City. Alvarez striking the frame of the goal, and it bounced back out. Grealish's work was excellent. Ake's finish with his weaker foot was crisp and inside the bottom right-hand corner. And in the battle of the top two in the Premier League, it's the chasers rather than the pace setters that lead in the FA Cup. Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0.
Well, there's been very little build-up to this pressure-wise, but Alvarez, a fantastic effort off the post. Grealish has done well there, attracted 2 players, set up Ake, and we were just saying how good Ake's defensive work's been today, and he pops up with a goal to break the deadlock.
Nathan Ake with the goal. A man who's actually in the Watford side that knocked Arsenal out in the quarter-finals famously 7 years ago. And Ake with a goal that breaks the deadlock, only his 6th in Manchester City colours. And 1-0 is the score.
Tell you what, he steered that in really, really well. I think he was under pressure, he was getting shut down, so he didn't have a full swing at it. He just guided it with a bit of curl into the far corner.
Arsenal will make a double change on the back of it. Martinelli for Trossard is the first change, and Zinchenko for Tierney is the second. So Zinchenko for Tierney, straight swap at left back. Martinelli for Trossard, straight swap ahead of them on the left wing. Double change made by Arsenal. 25 minutes to go. And it's Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0. Nathan Ake, the unlikely man to break the deadlock. That's a big ovation you can hear for Zinchenko. Such a popular man in these parts. Man who made nearly 130 appearances for Manchester City. Plays against them for the very first time today. Here's Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu turning for Arsenal. And the game, you would imagine, will open up significantly now that the deadlock has been broken. It's been broken by Manchester City's Dutch defender Nathan Ake. Xhaka's ball inside the area, and Nketiah nearly 1-1 straight away. We now have the first corner of the night, and we very nearly had an equaliser. And Nketiah darting towards the edge of the 6-yard box. A teasing ball in from that left-hand side. It needed defending. It was a brilliant touch from Laporte that just squeezed it away from Nketiah to stop him getting the equaliser just moments after Ake's opener.
Well, fantastic defending at full stretch and a bit, it's fair to say. And he's just got a touch on it as Nketiah's just about to unload behind him and guide it into the net.
Nketiah amongst those waiting inside the penalty area. It's a very congested 6-yard box. The first corner of the night is going to be taken by Bukayo Saka from the Arsenal right. It's a left-footed in-swinger. It's very deep and straight into the hands of Ortega. So how's the Arsenal game plan changed, Stuart Pearce? Finding themselves a goal down with a quarter of the game remaining.
Well, I think potentially Zinchenko coming on, who likes to get forward and on occasion underlap as well, might get a bit of freedom with De Bruyne playing in a sort of that 4-4-2-ish role, if you like, you know, even though Alvarez is playing slightly deeper. That might be a get out and an overload against Walker.
Saliba for Gabriel, and here is the blonde-haired Ukrainian Zinchenko. Long left-footed ball forward from him. It's a peach of a delivery from the left flank way over to the right. Killed by Saka. Saka for Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu running towards the edge of the penalty area here for Arsenal. Back he goes for Bukayo Saka again. He's 10 yards outside the box. Still he goes. That's a good ball as well. Back out towards Martinelli. Left-hand side of the penalty area. Hooked in by him. Laporte with another important defensive contribution. Heads the cross away. Tomiyasu back for Fabio Vieira. Vieira turning it through the midfield for the tall Lokonga. Back for Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu's ball in, and Nketiah tries to bring it down. It fell behind him. And City clear. Completely different field of the game now. It's more open. There's a sharpness about the challenges. It's been played at a better tempo. And Arsenal having all the possession since they went behind. And Haaland's just been nutmegged, which the Arsenal fans enjoyed. Fabio Vieira brings it forward. Nathan Ake's goal, 1-0 Manchester City on Talksport. Are the Premier League leaders heading out? They'll be the 10th Premier League side eliminated, with 31 still in the competition after tonight. Zinchenko, forward towards Xhaka. Our next live FA Cup action for you tomorrow. The build-up starts at 11 here on Talksport on Game Day Live. Leicester making the trip from the East Midlands to the West to take on League Two side Walsall. Xhaka, ball inside the penalty area. Grealish comes back, covers it really well, knocks it back for Ake, who can clear. Long ball forward from the City back line, headed down by Saliba. Lokonga, Xhaka. Arsenal in the mood here. Martinelli offside, and some respite for Manchester City, who know they're in a game. They've not been parked up against the ropes since Ake's goal, but it has been all Arsenal since the deadlock was broken.
Yeah, just looking on that left-hand side of Arsenal, they've got a numbers overload there against City, because De Bruyne's tucked in slightly, and when Zinchenko goes, he's not always forthright in coming back and tracking his man. And that's allowing probably a 4 against 3 scenario.
Turner comes out and sweeps up after Haaland tried to spin inside the Arsenal centre halves. Free kick has been given against the giant Norwegian. That's a free kick that the Gunners will take inside their own half. Lokonga. Lokonga out towards Zinchenko. Manchester City fans just reminding their Arsenal counterparts that despite the league table as it stands at the moment, it is City that own the silverware for now, and they're intent on retaining it. Saka, Gabriel, Grealish winning it back, poking it forward. Haaland letting it run across him. Haaland's got Alvarez to his left, De Bruyne to his right. Kevin De Bruyne pulling it back. Rodri, Ilkay Gundogan. Ake forward in support. Back for the German again, and Gundogan will lay it back for Rodri behind him. Akanji invited forward. Manchester City just glad to be able to get a touch of the ball, string some passes together after 4 or 5 minutes of Arsenal pressure. Ake into the feet of Grealish. Grealish works it back for Ake again. Ødegaard's going to be coming on very shortly for Arsenal, and it will be their final change. The captain about to arrive. Haaland flicking it on for Manchester City. Gabriel's dealt with him pretty effectively, and the loose ball drops Saliba's way. Gabriel very quickly back in position to show for the pass. Will work it out towards the Arsenal left-hand side for Zinchenko. 1-0 Manchester City lead. Nathan Ake with the goal. Lokonga who came on for Partey at half-time. Played out towards Martinelli. Martinelli faced up by Walker. Goes back for Zinchenko in a more central area. Zinchenko through the centre circle. And back inside his own half for a moment for Saliba. And it's Arsenal's turn to be able to string the passes together. And dozens of them, but they're not making any forward progress really at the moment, Stuart. City with a regimented defensive shape, cutting them out. Now they mix it up a bit. The Gunners work it wide towards Saka. Saka on the right-hand side, taking on Ake, getting it across, and Nketiah making a darting run. Couldn't quite beat Laporte to it. He came from late and tried to get across him at the near post area, but couldn't quite. Ødegaard for Vieira. You would imagine the change will be for Arsenal, and it's imminent. And Manchester City will bring Bernardo Silva on presently as well. He's just taken his tracksuit bottoms off. Here's Laporte.
I think Silva coming on, they'll want to dominate the ball now and try kill the momentum of Arsenal and kill the momentum of the game by their possession work, City. And once again, you know, Saka's got to fight tooth and nail to push it on the outside and get across the face of goal. But the one thing he can't do, he can't get the other side of Ake. And you've seen him time and time again this season in the Premier League get beyond defenders, beat defenders and open the goal up. He's not been able to do that at all tonight, and credit to Ake for it.
Yeah, he's certainly going to be one of the candidates for the man of the match. Man with the goal. His team with a clean sheet against their name, and the Dutchman's played a big part in that as well. But still, 16 minutes of normal time to go. City trying to work it long again. Gabriel did well, just stopping Haaland having a clean run towards the end of the long ball, and that allowed Turner the chance to quickly come out of his penalty area and clear. That goal that he conceded, the first in 470 minutes. Since he shipped his only other one in Arsenal colours against Zurich. Well, Arsenal have made the change, and Saka is the man that has come off for Ødegaard. And De Bruyne is being replaced by Bernardo Silva. But Ødegaard for Saka, not one I saw coming.
No, nor me. But the one thing it does tell you, it tells you how well Ake's done. I think, the match-up tonight has been dominated by Ake, and credit to him for that.
So De Bruyne coming off, and he'll be replaced by somebody else who's in that 2019 FA Cup winning side for City. Bernardo Silva, who's gone 24 without a goal coming into tonight. Much more to his game than raw numbers alone. And the bearded Portuguese just untucks his shirt, having made his arrival, and stands near the edge of the D. The ball is in the hands of Grealish. It's going to be a throw which will be taken on the Manchester City left. Grealish poking it away from Gundogan. Xhaka playing it forwards, claiming there was a handball by Bernardo Silva. Referee Tierney, well placed, said no. Bernardo Silva works it back. Good ball retention from him. Ødegaard chasing after Ake. And Ake can calmly get it back to the back line. Forward he goes from Laporte to Rodri to Ake to the retreating Grealish, facing the wrong way for a moment under pressure from Vieira. Ake has it. Did he control it before it went out of play? Hit Fabio Vieira and then went out of play. So it's a Manchester City throw. And the Arsenal man thought that it should have been a gunner's ball because it was already out. Okay, no hurry for the restart. 14 to go. Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0. Throw up the touchline. Helped on by Haaland. Goes up for a second aerial challenge with Tomiyasu. And then Fabio Vieira shoved Grealish over as the pair waited for the ball to arrive. And there's a dirty look from the Brummie in Fabio Vieira's direction. And it is a free kick that Manchester City will take. 76 gone, Stuart. And Arsenal have a quarter of an hour or so's with the playing time to find an equaliser and stay in the cup.
Yeah, that little bit of momentum that they had, Arsenal pressing forward, pinning City in for a couple of minutes, has diminished a little bit, and City are just keeping enough possession of the ball to keep Arsenal at bay at present.
And Fabio Vieira's come out to the right-hand side for Arsenal. And that's the way that they've shuffled things around with the change. They're taking Saka off. So Vieira's moved wide and Ødegaard's playing it in his usual position. And then Manchester City bring the ball forward with Bernardo Silva, who's fouled by Xhaka. And it's a City ball over on the far touchline. They lead 1-0. Nathan Ake with the goal. City looking for a third straight win in all competitions and a 10th in 14. Arsenal have won 22 out of 27 this season. Just such an extraordinarily good campaign. Just past the halfway stage for Manchester City, at the halfway stage for Arsenal in their league season. And February the 15th is the date in the diary that everyone's got a big red circle around, when these two play each other again. Free kick bent inside the penalty area, just too high for Rodri. Comes out for Alvarez. Alvarez hooking it in. Turner got another bang as he punched that one away with his left hand and got it clear. Zinchenko back inside his own penalty area for Gabriel. Over on the far touchline, Gabriel Martinelli then plays it forward, and Zinchenko looking for Lokonga has given it away. City get it back with Laporte, finding Walker. Walker back for Emerick Laporte again. 12 to go. Manchester City a goal to the good. You're with Talksport. Jim Proudfoot and Stuart Pearce talking through the action here as the Premier League leaders are getting ever closer to elimination. Back he goes for Ortega. Ortega to Laporte. Manchester City, few more adept than them at just being able to keep possession for possession's sake and run time off the clock.
Yeah, normally they keep possession, but there's still this flood of going forward. I get the impression that they're not too intent on getting another one. If it comes, all well and good, but the intention of this possession work is really to starve Arsenal with the ball.
City been in the semi-finals in each of the last 3 seasons, including once by Arsenal. They've got to at least the semis in 5 of the last 6 seasons. And will they be the first name in the last 16? Looking that way at the moment. Here's Grealish coming in off the left flank for Manchester City. Slows it down to walking pace. Tries to commit Tomiyasu, who didn't buy anything there. And Rodri, after the ball was played for him, just clips a high aerial pass forward that Arsenal can clear. And there's a shove by Nketiah. The referee says play on. City working it back, maintaining possession, going deeper for Ortega. Ortega, again, Nketiah pretty close to him by the time Ortega cleared. Haaland trying to hold it up, couldn't do so. It's cannoned off him. He's found it difficult playing with his back to goal against the centre halves. I mean, we talked at length about the holding battle, but in the second half he's had little change.
No, and as I say, got caught in two minds there, whether to use his head or back off, and in the end he sort of, it's dropped and he's ducked his head down to try and cushion it to someone. He's been a little bit scruffy with his hold-up play tonight. But he's under big pressure from someone who's, well, whoever it may be, someone, either of the centre halves, being of a physical stature similar to himself.
It's Saliba that's detailing him at the moment. And Gabriel as the spare man. City playing out from the back. Work a brisk ball forward down the inside left channel, and Alvarez will chase it manfully, although he knew he wasn't going to get there. And Saliba plays it across the edge of his own penalty area, and Gabriel finds Xhaka. Now they play it out towards Martinelli in his black gloves over on the far touch line. He's lost it. City bring it forward. Haaland towards the edge of the penalty area. Now Grealish with quick feet away from Tomiyasu, takes it into a central area and gets it away from Lokonga. He's only going sideways, but he can play the ball to the feet of Bernardo Silva. Back it goes from him to Kyle Walker. Substitutes combining. Rodri, Gundogan thrashes it back out to Walker. Walker's got Xhaka right in front of him. Alvarez drops off, finds a little bit of space. Shooting position for him. Stings the palm of Turner. And it remains at 1-0.
Yeah, long distance shot. Done well keeping it on target, but straight at the goalkeeper. Handled it comfortably, parried it to the ground.
It's Alvarez that played that major part in the goal. And with the shot from a similar position as that, about 21, 22 yards out, which cannon back off the post. Grealish picked it up. 2 seconds later, Ake had it, and another couple of seconds after that, it was 1-0 to Manchester City. Ødegaard back for Xhaka. 8 to go, plus stoppage time. Zinchenko for Arsenal, who trail by a goal to nil. Granit Xhaka now on the edge of the centre circle. Into Lokonga. Lokonga with more height on that pass out towards Fabio Vieira, who had one of his best Arsenal performances so far in the third round win at Oxford, where he set up a couple of the goals. Now it goes from Gabriel out towards Martinelli. Now back for Gabriel again. Just inside his own half, poking it forward. Ortega with 2 important saves in the first half, but not too much to do in this second. Now it goes forward from Lokonga. Plenty of play down the Arsenal left at the moment. Chipped in towards Eddie Nketiah. Laporte beating him in the air, and Mikel Arteta turns and looks up to the heavens. A little bit bemused on the edge of his technical area there at the lack of quality of those two up front for Arsenal in that particular moment. And then he turns once the ball has gone out of play, claps his hands and tries to get a message across to Eddie Nketiah. The Gunners still in possession. They'll be able to play it forward. Now towards the left-hand side for Zinchenko. Zinchenko working it back through the midfield towards Lokonga. Lokonga's got Tomiyasu to his right. Now he goes out towards Fabio Vieira. Fabio Vieira for Arsenal, who've got 7 minutes left. Back from Tomiyasu. Saliba. Ake's goal the difference. Arsenal on the front foot as they look for an equaliser. Ødegaard taking on Grealish. Almost showed too much of it to Ake, and then just retained possession in the nick of time. Gets it back. Play through the midfield. Under duress. Alvarez putting the pressure on. Now coming in off the left-hand side. Lokonga has continued his run forward, and Nketiah is lurking in there as well. And Walker is forced to concede the corner. The end of the ground that houses the Arsenal fans, infused by that. And is this their moment to try and find an equalising goal?
Yeah, Walker done well there. His surge of pace, really, really important. Looked as though they'd a little give and go over the top of the City defence, but Walker done brilliantly in his recovery.
Gabriel and Xhaka and Tomiyasu and Saliba all in and around the edge of the 6-yard box. Nketiah is a little bit deeper. There's no Manchester City player on him. But Grealish has got his eye on him. Grealish standing spare man inside the 6-yard box will be the man that will defend zonally here and try and stop Nketiah. Ødegaard waits unmarked on the edge of the D. Alvarez on the edge of the box, everyone else in the penalty area. In it comes, good defensive header. Steers it clear. Back out towards Martinelli. Martinelli getting into the byline, trying to run the ball almost past Ortega, who got a strong hand to it, flicks it away. Now he goes for another corner.
I'll tell you what, I think it was Rodri who got his head to that ball at the near post. It was some header, I've got to say. And when the ball was half cleared, the City back line squeezed up, allowing Arsenal to get to the touchline.
They're taking the corner and get a throw out of it. Worked it short, not to good effect. Zinchenko has the opportunity potentially to arch the back and Hall throw a long one inside the penalty area. He's resisted that. Zinchenko taking it down towards the corner flag, ends up getting bundled over. And it goes back out of play for another throw. And the clock's ticking down quickly. 85 on the clock now. Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0. They've had the lead for just over 20 minutes. Throw to be taken on the Arsenal left, back to Lokonga.
Yeah, as I say, apart from the odd skirmish, City are quite happy to get very compact at this moment in time and see the ball just flashing across in front of them rather than in behind them.
Xhaka. Now towards Zinchenko. Gabriel for Saliba, who controls it. Comes back into Manchester City territory. City still well disciplined, keeping the shape behind the ball, forcing Arsenal to take 2 steps back before they can come forward again.
You watch Odegaard with his movement, really clever, always on the move, scanning over his shoulder. Just looked at him for the last minute or so and just finds little pockets of space and asks questions, plays in between everybody. They need to find him if they can with the ball.
Xhaka and Nketiah nodding it down. Odegaard trying to get there. Leaves it for Xhaka. Good ball inside the penalty area. Good goalkeeping. Ortega. As Martinelli was sprinting forward, he made a run in behind the City back line. And Ortega came out. It was very sharp. Good anticipation. And brought the ball into his body as he came out and slid at the feet of the Arsenal attacker. And it remains 1-0 with 3 minutes of normal time to go.
I think he'd have just been pulled back for offside there, but good movement, good ball in behind.
Turner through the penalty area for Saliba. Saliba to Odegaard. Odegaard can turn, he's dropped deep to get it. Alvarez trying to make his life as difficult as possible and foul him if necessary. He didn't manage that, and Arsenal can bring it forward. Zinchenko. 2.5 to go. Martinelli, it's been lively since coming on, taking on Walker. He's beaten him, gets to the byline, pulls it back. It might break for Odegaard or for Nketiah. In the end, neither. And Ortega comes out and gathers again.
I've got to say, Walker should have done better there. He'd pinned him to the touchline and then let him wriggle free. And when it bounced, Ortega took things into his own hands, literally, and just dealt with the problems. And he's done quite well tonight. Credit to him. Done really well, I think. Made a couple of very smart saves. Been off his line and dealt with problems that potentially could have escalated.
Now, if he can just keep his clean sheet intact, his 4th in 7 City appearances for the next few minutes, Manchester City are in the round of 16. Grealish going down. Referee plays the advantage. Bernardo Silva has it. Walker, Gundogan. Back out of Kyle Walker again. Walker controlling it. 90 seconds to go. 4 minutes maybe to be added on. Could be 5, I suppose. Akanji. Now played forward by Laporte. Now Laporte, who came on as a substitute in the first half of the injured John Stones. Rodri plays it back for Ortega. High clearance from him. Haaland having a look to see who was where. Gabriel, never too far away from him, beat him. Haaland has cut a dejected figure at times tonight. Hasn't had a glimmer of an opportunity. And his FA Cup debut, that he won't necessarily remember with any great fondness, but it is going his way in terms of the overall destiny of the spoils tonight as we go into the 90th minute. Here's Eddie Nketiah, who's dropped very deep for Arsenal, picking it up, turning, getting away from Alvarez and then losing out. And Arteta again, he's been mused by that, and City will be able to bring it forward. Not with any great pace, but they can get it out of harm's way. Bernardo Silva to Rodri. Rodri inside his own half of the centre circle finds Laporte. Ake urged to play it forward rather than backwards. Into the feet of Grealish. Grealish nudging it back for Laporte again. And Laporte will go back for Ortega, but City making a successful job of just keeping the ball here under pressure.
Yeah, when teams are trying to chase you and you've got the ability in your ranks to keep the ball like they do, it just takes a sting out of the game time and time again. And they're absolutely fantastic at it, City. There's nothing worse. You're 1-0 down, you want possession of the ball to go and have an impact on the opposition, and they just keep the ball off you.
4 minutes of stoppage time to go. We're in them. Manchester City 1, Arsenal 0. Is it going to be another Arsenal defeat on this ground? They've suffered a few. They played so much better tonight than they have in many of their most recent trips to Manchester City. But there's a familiarity about the end result if it stays this way. Gundogan. Arsenal will be more than confident of getting some revenge on February the 15th, but revenge will be on the agenda that night, as well as everything else, as things stand at the moment. Jack Grealish has got it on the Manchester City left-hand side. Just over 3 minutes of stoppage time remaining, with Nathan Ake's goal on 64 still the difference between the two teams. Ortega and Nketiah with more intensity about the press this time. Ortega stumbling as he got it clear, but he found Walker. Walker comes back inside his own half, getting the better of Zinchenko, who's falling to the ground and gets a yellow card.
Yeah, clever play by Walker there, and City in general kept the ball, come out from Grealish on the left wing, back to the goalie, diagonal ball. Walker could have helped it on, he balled it down, and his little injection of pace coming infield just induced the free kick.
Now, Nathan Ake just been announced as the sponsors man of the match. He's right up there. You can't have too many complaints about that one.
No, I think on an overview of the 90 minutes or so, I think Rodri's played pretty well at the heart of the midfield, but Ake's been the standout player. I thought Trossard done well in the first half and was Arsenal's best player, but Ake, what he's done defensively to stop Arsenal's best player in Saka has been impressive, and then to turn up in the box to guide one in to break deadlock has been even more impressive.
Kyle Walker's back on his feet, and play will resume with a Manchester City free kick, and a yellow card is shown to Ilkay Gundogan for delaying the restart. These yellow cards can tot up very quickly in the FA Cup. Yellow card for Gundogan, the first City player booked tonight. He's taken the free kick. It's floated out towards the far side. About 2 minutes to play, and down by the corner flag, Bernardo Silva is in there, and Martinelli has won it back. Now Alvarez trying to regain possession. Silva playing it in. Now for Alvarez again. He's inside the Arsenal penalty area. There's a lovely little pirouette there, but no end product to go with it. And it goes out to play down by the corner flag. Walker shepherded it out, and the assistant referee said, throw to Arsenal.
But yeah, so there have been a few decisions that the fans have not been too happy with.
Goal kick to Arsenal now, after the throw that they took quickly was blocked. Time not on their side. The Gunners play it out quickly. We're in the fourth and final minute of stoppage time. Stoppage time is going to be elongated because of the time that Walker spent on the deck, so there's probably 90 seconds of playing time left. Ake going up for it. It's gone off the top of his head, but he was just shoved under the ball by Nketiah. And he gets up and he feels the small of his back, and it actually doubles up pretty well as a bow from Nathan Ake to the Manchester City fans on this near side. They're taking the plaudits for an excellent performance. And the Blue Moon is on the rise, Stuart Pearce, because Manchester City are going to be in the fifth round.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt whichever team won this, you're going to turn around and say big win. Certainly in their prospects to get their hands on the FA Cup in a few rounds' time. And maybe just as importantly as well is stunt the confidence of your main rivals in the Premier League chase.
Throw taken by Arsenal, but they're still deep inside their own half, and the need is one of desperation now. Saliba getting it forward and getting it forward as quickly as possible. Forward it comes through the midfield, but Laporte wins it back. Play forward by Bernardo Silva. Clever little flick from him. He's got it in Arsenal territory. That's all that matters for Manchester City at the moment. He's then brought down, and City will be able to run the clock down after that foul from Zinchenko. And that'll just about be that. No way back from here, surely, for Arsenal, because by the time the free kick is taken, we'll have played more than 5 minutes of stoppage time.
Yeah, I don't know whether we turn around at the end of this and say those couple of changes, you know, maybe from Arsenal, making one or two more changes than City has probably just cost them the opportunity to get through the tie.
Kyle Walker takes the free kick, whacks it into the stand, and the full-time whistle blows. For the first time since 1904, Manchester City have knocked Arsenal out of the FA Cup. In the recent meetings between these two in this competition, it has gone the way of the Gunners. They've then gone on to glory. Not this time round. Nathan Ake's goal, 20 minutes into the second half, gives Manchester City a place in the last 16, potentially a psychological advantage as well, going into the first of the league meetings between these two on February the 15th. But the bottom line is that Ake's goal has seen City over the line. Arsenal will hope that another FA Cup meeting with Manchester City will still see a season-ending glory, but it'll be in the league and not the cup if it is to happen. The Gunners, top of the Premier League, eliminated from the FA Cup, knocked out by their nemesis Manchester City, who've beaten them tonight by a goal to nil.